It is now time for us to go behind the decks.
What is going on, everybody? We are here live in Tribexr, and we're gonna go behind the decks with the Duke. All right, so welcome the Duke, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. That's right, people. Let's have it, give it up for him. That's right. So thank you for joining us tonight. Love the sets that you played out for us. It was awesome.
I appreciate that. I love playing.
So the Duke, tell us first off about your DJ name. How did you get your DJ name?
Well, honestly, I've had many throughout my years. I've been spinning for over 20. So.
Over 20 years?
Over 20 years, yep.
OMG. Okay. All right. So where do I begin with? What genres do you like to play now?
Honestly, I've always been into, house music. I was a big drum and bass DJ, probably a little over a decade ago. That was my genre. That's what I started getting known on, drum and bass.
He's talking about decades ago. All right. So you know what? Let's take this to the beginning, right? We're going to take this to the beginning of your journey. Tell us, what was the exact moment when you realized you wanted to become a DJ?
Back in my day, when I was a wee lad, I hate to bust out the pipe here. But when I was about 13 years old-ish, about the same age as some of these kids that are on here, I see that in me. That was me, but now, back in those days, we used to have a radio station in Dallas called The Edge. On Saturday nights, they used to play dance music, and, I'd take a cassette, tape over the little things on there so you can record over it, take Vanilla Ice cassette and put it on there and record over it. And so anyways, I wanted to become a DJ after hearing that music. The music just drove me, I had ADHD as a kid, so I still do, but but it kind of drove me, like it helped me a lot, so like I loved it. I just felt the passion, so my parents asked me when I was a kid what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I was like, I want to be a DJ.
Oh, whoa! And you ended up DJing.
So they wound up buying me a set of decks for Christmas. Vinyl decks.
So cool. That is so cool.
I didn't have any records when I first started out, but there was plenty of Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, old disco records they had, and I basically learned how to DJ on live disco music and pop music.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. And so that was the beginning. Okay.
That was the beginning. Yep. From there, as I started to get a little older, learning how to beat match manually, with vinyl records, they'd start taking me to record shops. I met this record store owner. They would drop me off for a couple hours and let me hang out there. I'd bring my vinyls to let me spin. From there, he started taking me under his wing and started getting gigs. By the time I was 18, I was already spinning at like after hours joints and doing some residencies in downtown Dallas under an illegal alias. Obviously,
okay, so you wasn't the Duke at the time. You wasn't the Duke.
No.
Okay.
By then,
you don't have to say what you was before if you don't want to.
I went by DJ Mayhem back in those days.
Oh, Mayhem! Okay.
DJ Mayhem. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I used to spend at a big after hours joint, and I remember distinctly, having an outdoor venue and indoor, but spinning on the outdoor, spinning trance at the time, as the sun was rising, at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, people are dancing, at 18 years old. That's one of my fondest memories at DJing. Yeah. But fast forward, turned into DJ Alex Perez. I sponsored that name for quite a while. Got on the radio, was advertised as Alex Perez for a long time. Had residencies as Alex Perez, and then I was always a class clown. So my, kind of like a Chaz is what they would call him, like an idiot, like a clown. So my friends were joking around one day. They're like, Chaz worth the Duke, and I was like,
oh, no way. Okay.
And the Duke kind of stuck. So
the Duke, and then that's how we got the name, the Duke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I always felt like I was really good at spinning and making good mixes. So I felt proud of
Mhm.
myself, but they called me that. They called me Chasworth the Duke, and then I
He said
took
it was
just the
them,
Duke.
y'all. He was like,
I didn't call myself that.
they named it to name me that. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So fast forward, how did you find Tribexr?
So I took like a 7, 8 year hiatus
Mhm.
from DJing. I wasn't really paying the bills. I recently became management where I was working, so it pretty much consumed my life. And then my tables, while I was at work one day, somebody had spilt some beer on it, so
Mhm.
they basically broke, and then I didn't replace them because I was just too busy to do anything anyway. So, and then fast forward, I acquired some Oculus 2s or Meta 2s, whatever they're called, and I always saw that there was some VR DJing going on. Did a little research, found Tribe, and the first couple of days, I met a DJ named Fred, on one of his chop shops, and he let me
Nice.
come in under behind the decks, and he kind of showed me the decks, and I
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
mind blown.
Blown
I,
away.
I was like, "Oh my god, I'm back!" So yeah, basically after that, that was it.
Mhm.
Just got into practicing again and re-downloading music again, and just trying to show up to Tribe. If it wasn't for Tribe, I wouldn't be spinning right now. So I had to say this is an awesome platform. For sure.
Aw,
This is
thank
an awesome.
you.
It's
And it's
amazing. Yeah.
and it's been lovely having you. You know, you've been a wonderful, wonderful addition to the community. Love your personality. Love your mixing. You know, you couldn't lie to me and tell me you just started DJing when you got in the tribe. No way. Not with these mixes that you pulling off over here.
I
All
really
right.
appreciate that.
So I had to, just kind of get to know a little bit more about the Duke after what we've been hearing from you over the last few weeks. Now, what's your favorite part about Tribe? Because you've
I mean,
DJed like real life, right? So now, what's your favorite part about DJing virtually?
honestly, you can DJ anywhere, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
number
Mm-hmm.
one. You
Oh.
can DJ anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
you can DJ, in a park, or you can go anywhere. You can take it to a club, and you could hook it up to their speakers, and DJ like that, and it has been done, So
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. You could be in New York and DJ a party in Beverly Hills. Who knows? You can do whatever you want. The options are limitless. The fact that you
Mm-hmm.
can choose your equipment. You would never have the opportunity to play with $10,000 worth of decks. If it wasn't for Tribe, unless you had that kind of money or credit that you wanted to, spend money on and invest in. But a lot of people wouldn't pull a trigger like that unless they know they're gonna
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
succeed, or make something off of that, some kind of investment off of it. So
Mm,
it gives you the
right.
opportunity to learn the equipment, and you use record box, and it's a great learning tool, especially for young people or young
Mm-hmm.
DJs, I should say. For them to really, because everything that they have on there, every button that's on there, every function works correctly. So
Mm.
you could literally practice on Tribe and take that same skills and to the real world and
Yeah, and the
physical equipment.
transfers. Hey,
Right.
there you go. You heard it from the Duke himself. All right. So, what's your favorite gear in Tribe?
I love spending on the 3000s.
Ooh,
On not a
the three
big fan of the
thousands.
X's myself, just because it doesn't show up really well on my VR, but they
Mm-hmm.
do operate well. The X's do operate really well. And then I like using a 900 mixer.
Nine hundred. Love
I'm a
those
bit of
too.
old school. I like, I'm not always with the newest tech all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think a little bit older tech is just as good, works just as well. It's my go-to. I feel more comfortable with it, honestly. And I feel
Mm.
like if you were to go spin at a big club or a big venue or whatever, they're probably going to have 3000 instead of the X right now.
Mm. Yeah.
So it'd be more comfortable playing on it, just for now. You know.
Right. Right. I tell a lot of the students that also, you know, um, a lot of the clubs aren't, they're not gonna have the X's just yet. They're still on the 3000. So, it's nice to know how to use the 3000 X's in case it gets put in front of you, but the 3000s is what you're more likely gonna run into. So, like, don't get so caught up on that slip menu. That's what when I had the classes on Saturday, I'm like, don't use that
Right.
menu for this round. I want you to know how to do it manually because you ain't gonna see that.
Right.
So yeah,
I would say
exactly for
too,
the.
if you're
Mhm.
learning, you want to learn on smaller equipment first. Just get the fundamentals.
Mhm.
Make sure you can
Mhm.
beat match. Make sure your tracks go together well. Get that on, and then graduate into 3000s.
Mhm.
Learn that really well afterwards. Once you perfect a MIDI controller or even 3000s, then you can move up to the X. The X is like way up there. It has a lot
See
more
that? He's
features.
saying take your time, DJs. Don't rush it.
You know?
That's what he's saying. Take your
Right.
time and go up, and then use the big boys.
Don't concentrate on looks on your tables and stuff like that. Concentrate on the music and your
Yeah.
style mixing. Yep.
And there we have it. There we have it. Thank you, the Duke. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And tell everybody out there, where can they find you if they want to hear some more of your awesome sets?
Well, I do have an old SoundCloud. I'm the Duke on SoundCloud. The Duke. It's real easy to look me up.
Okay.
On YouTube, you can look me up as _Duke Tribexr. I have a couple mixes on there already, and I'm getting ready to drop a drum and bass set here soon, within the next couple
Ooh.
weeks. So
There you have it. See that? I told y'all. He got some goodies waiting right in store for you coming up in the spring. Y'all hear that? All right. All right. Thank you, the Duke.
absolutely, thank you for having me.
Yeah. That concludes this episode of
Behind the Decks.